What about like parent conferences and what have you? Did you get a chance to experience any of that?
Yes, I did. I got to go to the parent conferences. I didn't go to all of them, but I went to some for the students that I was studying for some of my classes, and then I went to ones for just students that I was interested in as well or was free for. And then I've also gotten to go to an IEP meeting and a student resource meeting. And so those were all really interesting, and I loved being a part of them. And I was able to interject my own ideas, like at the parent-teacher meetings when my cooperating teacher would talk about the student, and then I could ask questions of the parents as well, and say I see that he's doing really well here, but he's also struggling here, or say something encouraging if they needed it and stuff like that. And at that SRT meeting, it was really interesting because since me and my cooperating teacher both work individually with the students, because there's two of us, we're both able to have just different perspectives on that student. So we were able to get both of us give important information about like how she thinks and what she's doing when she's counting and stuff like that.
What are the big differences between these two models is the amount of supervisor time. Did you notice any big difference? I mean, did it make a difference in terms of
the amount of
support?
Time the supervisor was there made a huge difference. In the previous model, my supervisor was there 3 times, and he didn't have any contact with my cooperating teacher at all. So I was the main person that coordinated things, and there was a big disconnect between the supervisor and my cooperating teacher, or my master teacher, he would say one thing and she would say another, and they wouldn't agree, and it didn't feel very well organized. Whereas this time, my supervisor was there every single week, and she was able to talk to my cooperating teacher, and they built a relationship, and it just seemed like we were more of a community that worked together to support me instead of me trying to pull all the pieces together.
Good. What do you think the downfalls are of this particular model?
The main downfall is the amount of coursework load. And it's not about the student teaching, because when you're there, it's great, and I love that. But the main downfall is just the amount of time that you have to put in to some of the assignments of the courses that require.
Did the coursework support the field in the way that you would want it to?
Not always. Some of them did. One of the 612 class was pretty good with supporting the field, and so is science, and so is 617, the language courses. And then some of the courses just don't match with what you're doing in the classroom either. And some of the courses aren't very flexible with having you teach different lessons that fit your kids.
And what kind of an issue does that create for you in the field?
It's really hard when you need to do something for a course and your cooperating teacher needs to do something for state testing and the benchmarks and all of those things, and you have to try and fit this in when we have everything else already scheduled. And that puts a huge stress on the cooperating teacher and the student teacher as well. It just made it really hard.
Now, there's a tremendous amount of growth that takes place in stage 2. At what point did you decide, okay, I'm a teacher now?
Well, I've actually been trying to get that ingrained into my head since stage 1, where I'd walk around my 5th grade classroom and it's like, I'm the teacher, okay? And so I think what really brought that out, though, was when I started solo teaching, was because then I was the teacher for 10 full days, and that was a really good experience, because even though my cooperating teacher was there most of the time, I was still the one that was in charge, and she was doing other things. We planned some stuff for her to do, but then sometimes she just needed some time to work on other stuff, so it was nice. That was the main thing that I think brought that transformation about.
So, are you done?
Done with what?
Do you feel like you are now ready to go and you're a teacher?
Yes, to be a teacher, but I'm not done learning. But I think I'm ready to have my own classroom. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think I've been really well prepared for that as well.
So if you were to be able to go into an interview, what do you think the difference might be in your ability to relate what it is that you are as a professional?
I've just had a lot more experience with what goes into teaching, and so I can definitely talk about how much planning that I can do, and how I know what goes on within a classroom from September to December and to June, even though I didn't see the end, but I can figure it out. And I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Can you repeat the question?
In an interview, what do you think that you will be able to bring to an interview that would be different?
Yeah, that experience, the cooperating with a fellow teacher in the classroom, being able to figure out where we're both going to be, what we're both going to do, and how to best help the students. It's also really important. And then just my involvement in every aspect of the classroom was also something that I bring to the table that I don't think a lot of other candidates from other programs have, because as a student teacher you don't get to, maybe teach full time or assess the students or work with them in as much as I did.
What about for your students, your little captive audience? What do you think the benefits have been for them?
I'm definitely a better teacher because of how much experience I've had with working with them all the time. So it helps because the better I am, the better that they'll learn. And it also helps because I've seen so many different backgrounds come in, so I can work with a lot of different types of students. And since I've been there so much, been in the classroom so much, I just get more and more experience, and then you get to try new things and see like what works and what doesn't, and experiment a little bit so that you know and kind of feel out the classroom for yourself about how best to teach them.
Have you and your cooperating teacher done any assessment to see if your being in the classroom as a co-teacher made a difference in terms of student performance?
We have done assessments with student performance, but we haven't compared it to, we have compared our class to the other second grade classes who don't have a student teacher. And our class is doing better. We just had a math assessment, which I taught most of the math this last, and Cindy helped with, the students who really struggled. And they did really well on that math benchmark, which was really difficult because it had, regrouping with addition and subtraction, and they had to learn fractions and words with graphs, and so they did really well on that. We had about 4 or 5 students who scored, around in the 70 position, and that was like the lowest score that we had. And then in another writing assessment that we did, as a group for second grade, we wanted to have like 70% of the students proficient, and our class had like 75 of them proficient. So that was nice. So there definitely helps with the students. And also we've noticed they work on this program on the computers, and that really helps to scaffold their learning in math. But me and my cooperating teacher stand behind the students who are still in the first grade level of math, and we help them. And so because there's 2 of us, we can work with the 6 or 7 of them throughout each day, and we just see their scores going higher and